read from my notes here because I forget what I'm doing otherwise. About 2 weeks ago, we were contacted by Planet Ice and informed that the lease for the building would soon be assigned to Nice Leisure, which is attached to Planet Ice. The lease contained conditions that meant that once it was signed, Planet Ice had to start and complete the necessary repair work to the rink within a specified time period. This would mean that we would be unable to compete for a full season of hockey. We asked for a start date and how long it would take. PI said they didn't know, but would tell us when they did know. As a board, we felt we needed more information and had to explore every opportunity to have a season before we pulled the teams out of the leagues. We contacted the leaders of Basingstoke and Dean Council and asked for a meeting. Due to restrictions around the general election, we were only able to have that meeting 2 days ago. On the day of the meeting, the council released documents that were relevant to the lease being reassigned to Nice Leisure. The documents confirmed that Nice Leisure would have to start work on the first phase of the work, pads, stands and changing rooms within 3 months of the lease being signed and completed within 1 year of that date. These dates then confirmed that we would not be able to compete this season. We do intend carrying on. We will not compete this season. We intend holding trials in the summer of 2025 with a view to entering teams into all the leagues, all age groups, and the Buffalo in the 25-26 season. Any questions from anybody?
I suppose the first thing is, say, they sign the lease, and they're going to take up to 3 months to start.
We don't know. There's a rumour they want to start on in end of July, but the lease isn't signed. And there'll be a period of time where I think they'll turn it off and they'll defrost for a while.
Yeah.
And they won't really know how long, how long it will take until they get some samples drilled into that. Yeah. And the last call that was taken was 5 years ago at the side of the rink down with the DJ stand, and it was 30 foot of permafrost there 5 years ago at the side. So heaven knows what it is on that far blue line. It'll be, I mean, it could be, you know, I think from my point of view, for us coming back, the sooner they start, the better. It will give them a year. I think that they think 6 months, someone's been saying, I can't see that. And the timing is just wrong for what we're doing. But I think it seems as though that from our meeting with the council, they basically said if the lease isn't signed anyway, they would shut the rink down. They would use building control and health and safety executive to shut it down because it wasn't safe.
In my head, and then knowing, you know, with the intention that, you know, we're back, if that makes sense. But you know, and ensure that is, you know, everyone here knows that they can, you know.
Well, we will obviously we're going to offer updates as they go along.
Yeah.
I think the council's concern was that they may get down so far and go, not for us folks, we're off. They still have that in the back of their mind.
Yeah, which is natural because.
Yeah. But the building can be used for anything else, basically, any other leisure purpose, if someone wants to do that. But Planet Ice seem very determined to do it. But again, you won't know until they go down there. What are you doing? Sorry? Oh God, yes. This is the money earner for them. It's a big part of their portfolio. You take this out, and yet a huge wedge comes out of their what it pays into their central support, the way they run their businesses, and they will struggle without this in there. It's a very straight. I think ideally they wouldn't do it in this time scale. It means they're losing revenue for a full year on this. I've never known it ever be done at this time of year. I'm sure most people around here that've been around a long time know that. You normally get to spring and then do it, and it takes 6 months, and then you're back up and running again. And those 6 months are really the time when you don't make any money. The Planet Ice are going to be spending money in this building for a year and not making any money.
So, just obviously I've been on both sides. The board intends to stay together, doesn't it? So we have updates.
Oh no, we're still here. We'll be here and we'll be doing stuff. You'll still see stuff on social media from us. We will be talking to Planet Ice We were getting updates.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically in hiatus.
it's been the season and the summer, so it's what's just right. It gives them that extra bit of time to get this right. There's always a contingency in every building project. It's like that. If you want money, they follow up with their kids. So
Yeah.
I get that. It's just a forward move on social media, so the kids, the parents can have a look second of it.
Yeah.
So it's still,
Yeah.
it's still updated on what's going on.
And I know people have been looking around and trialing elsewhere. We understand that, but I think Ryan has been in contact with a few people.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do we?
So it's a very delicate situation. I didn't want to speak to many people and kind of have the information get out before everyone here knew. So I only knew as of yesterday, and because I was at the meeting on Tuesday, and I have spoken to Oxford, and they have said that as a group, they will take whatever group we have that would like to go there, including coaches, and be included within that club. And when we open up again, everyone can move back if they want to. If they want to move back, they might actually like what they're doing there and prefer that more. Ultimately, as a group, they've said they'll take as many players and coaches as we have that would like to travel to Oxford. Now, I don't know. So Wednesday, Thursday, but that's this year. I don't know what they're doing as of next year, and those, once they have an idea of numbers, their training days may change. So we've got an email address that we'll present for anyone that is interested to contact Oxford, and I suggest that speaking to them and finding out what they're planning on doing next year is probably the best thing to do. And any questions we've got here, we'll take down, and I'll ask Darren and see if we can get that published on our page as well.
Yeah, conversation.
Of course.
You know, vice versa.
Yeah.
I think the other clubs would listen when it's a year hiatus. They might open up to
I think that most other clubs will be very wary. Like Slough, Guildford, they'll be very well taking the kid, and don't forget their programs are full. Oxford program isn't full. So are they going to take one of our kids to displace one of their kids, take their ice time, knowing that they could possibly come back the following year? I'm sure some have gone there and some have been accepted, but most clubs, I don't think that. I mean, when we took the 20 odd kids from Bracknell, Bracknell was closed; it wasn't opening, so we took them because they were staying. If they wanted to carry on, they were staying. Unless your club hasn't got enough bodies in it, I don't think many will take them.
That's ultimately that's exactly what we're planning on doing. I can't talk to all of the clubs before we have this meeting.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just everyone's on the top, they might be overwhelmed, you know, in that regard as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you're coming from a perspective that everyone is going to be hospitable to take in as many players as possible. What we'll do is we'll end up talking to all the clubs, locally to us. Yeah. So I think we're on the same page. Yeah, you're saying the same thing. That will be done.
So we put the juniors and region funding. Would we have a junior parent have a liaison person through Basingstoke, or are they free to go to those clubs?
They're free to go. Everyone is free to go and speak to clubs as they would, whatever clubs is suitable for them.
And if you can't find contact details, then if you reach out to me, I will find them for you.
Yeah, no, I just thought if we want to try and keep people in contact, might be a liaison person from Basingstoke outwards.
The whole point of what we want to do is make sure our social media is presentable to everyone during this time off. So we will present things like this on our social media page and make sure everyone is aware of who we're speaking to and who is comfortable with groups going to other clubs. I get the impression, and I haven't asked a direct question yet, but I'm not sure if Slough, if Guildford, if Swindon are going to be open to speaking to a club and us sending groups of people. It was only because I was talking to Darren Elliott that I know really well, and I knew that I could speak to him about something and say, please keep it between us. He was talking to me about seeing if we could team up with teams, and I said, look, there might be something going on. This was on Tuesday. So happens that he called me on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I contacted him back, and this is how quickly this particular scenario has moved. Now, after this meeting, then we will contact links in the area. But I think what they'll ask to do is they'll ask for individuals to contact the club and use their trials as. I don't think they'll just open doors and let groups of people come in. But Oxford have. So that's why we're kind of going down that route first. And anyone that wants to kind of off their themselves go and speak to another club, you definitely should, if it works better for you. But from an Oxford perspective, they've got an open door to coaches and players to move on. And as far as us informing as many people as we can throughout the season, we will try and keep the social media as active and as informative as possible throughout the year. But what we're doing right now, and kind of reinforcing what Stuart's saying, is that we're having to act on the facts that we know. And the facts that we know are that this rink is going to be closing soon, which we've heard rumours at the time for the last 2 or 3 years, and we've made provision for those seasons just in case something happened. This year, we know we're not going to be able to fulfill a full season. But this is why we're having this conversation now. We're told that they've got 12 months to do the work and get it back up and going. We don't know that. We don't know what they're going to go into. We just have to take it that, you know what, we'll do everything we can. This time next year will be as set up as we possibly can for the rink to reopen. Even if it opens late, we'll make sure we can do something with the following season if it is plausible. So it's kind of information, and I'm acting on the little fact that we know at the moment.
I guess this would be up to managers for certainly. One of the things we really value is the community that is around our children within the teams, even if we're not training together. You think from a social media point of view as well, we could do maybe like off-base jamborees and things like Ozo, or off-base training, jamborees and Ozo training at the club, if that opportunity came available, just so the kids can keep.
All those things can be considered. If people want that, we will organise it.
Again, another great reason for keeping the social media platform open is that if there is enough interest in this, then it can all be organised within our social media, and it can be kind of organised from there. So, yeah, good point.
I think Bristol did that. Trial. We didn't enter the link.
No.
Did they?
I think so.
What's the same for this season off with a team or a
Yeah, that's right.
I missed that.
Sorry.
is there any cost? Is it high?
No. The accounts are there. They'll pretty much be frozen until we restart again. There are certain things, we have to maintain the sites we've got, various bits and pieces like that on social media, but otherwise, no, the money's going to be there. We will be trying to raise some more cash. We've spoken to the council, and initially, they were looking to support us, and we will explore those avenues, because I said to them, you need to help us come back.
Are you going to be using the ice anything up until?
Sorry?
You'll be using the ice for anything up until when they shut the ice off?
We're not planning to. If the ice is there and then it's open, if people want to do that, I'm sure we can do something with it. If people want to do that, but All it will be is out there training for.
I think we're reacting as well until we get more fact. Like for us to go, oh, do you know what? Let's put another 6 weeks worth of training on, and in 2 weeks' time they might shut the doors on us. So we've been given direct information from the council. That is what it is. That we're not going to be able to fill a season. If we know, we can put training sessions on for an extended period of time. The last thing we want to do is organise training sessions before they start. The rink closes. Everyone has paid money. Everyone trying to be reimbursed that money. You know, those things. It's just gonna get messy. And it would be nice to know if in 3 weeks' time or in a week's time they say this is the end point, that we can maybe put sessions on, maybe see what interest is there from people, maybe continue doing what we're doing, or get as much in as we can before it closes.
The impression I get is that Planet Ice want to close it as soon as possible after that lease is signed, and give them the biggest possible amount of time to get the work done.
Season can start.
Well, we looked at ideas. If you think about what happened with Swindon this year, they went down on the 18th of September and came back in December, and they crammed all the fixtures in. If we knew a window of when it was going to start and stop, we could do something like that. If it was going to start, we could play away games, all that kind of thing. We would have, there'd be no Buffalo. We would have, even if you started in March, you would have 60 slots to put in 45 games. So it's doable. But without knowing when it starts, when it stops, we've looked at all of that, trying to find a way forward. But we don't know.
I'm not sat that side. I'm trying to say now, well, I've seen it, and the frustration, the rumour mill that's gone on. What the board had to deal with has been horrendous. You get no answers. Now, on the other side, I can tell you now, is that horrendous. Right? Okay. What engage on the banter. So yeah, how the board's dealt with that, I think anyone says it's been commendable. The season last year has been commendable. Stress levels that was going on was for something you don't get paid for was awful. Every time you phone up, try and get an answer, nothing. It's not good enough for the kids and the players to have a phone call with a said person from there. It has to go down in black and white on an email or an announcement. Strap us down to the council offices. And as I can tell you, every avenue got explored, so we could have hockey as long as possible. I know that. Yeah. So wherever anyone called the ball before, I can tell you now, a lot of you are wrong, and they took a lot of reason. No. So even had a season last year, unbelievably commendable. So going forward, and I hope they do pull the finger out of there. So I think give us the ring that the kids deserve and the players.
While you're there, Simon, Buffalo, what's the intention with Buffalo? Have you spoken to anybody?
They obviously know the guys have got 5 tennis for a year. Those guys, Paul and Alan, they want to come back and start a team again. Ideally, being in one, and we'll put that system back in as well. That's the ideal thing. And the tuning system straight underneath it. So all the fans can watch local players again. Absolutely. I'm convinced we still get 6, 7, 8. So not many other places in the UK you can say that. And basically there to support local team. So that is the intention straight away. But devastating to inform them news, but but yes, like, the intention is to come back strong.
Stuart, can I throw a question in from the phone?
Yes, sir. Cool.
Sorry, and apologies if this has been asked, because some of the people sat away from the phone, it's not coming through that clearly. But if it's shutting imminently, that implies that the rink and the council have done all the sort of pre-enabling contract work with the contractors, because that's going to take 6 months.
As far as well, they mentioned that they're speaking to pre-contractors. They won't engage anybody, obviously, until that lease is signed. There are still a few small points in there they're arguing over, which they feel are going to be resolved. And let's have to play ice once it's signed. I don't know if they've engaged anybody yet. They're not going to tell us, are they? It's Planet Ice's business what they're doing. Yeah.
I acknowledge that. I just mean from a practical point of view, they've not signed anything with a contractor yet. A contractor is going to be months before they can suddenly just appear on site and start work.
I honestly don't know, Al, what the situation is, and they're not going to reveal it to us.
No, I
Where they're at with
appreciate you don't. Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Yes.
That's why the council put a 3-month clause in.
Yeah.
It's given them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still a short period of time, and I think is it time. I'm not sure. I'll say it. I think this question was asked of the council, and the question mark was if we say we don't have a season, and we tell everyone we don't have a season, and Planet Ice don't start the work for six months. Let's say they don't start for 6 months. We could do what we did last year, cram or front load our season with home games as much as we possibly can, and then once they close, we then have all our away games to play. So this was what we did last year. So the same question was asked this year, and the council's response was, as soon as that lease is signed, like the rink isn't going to be open in 6 months' time. So you can't. So they're effectively saying you can't even cram and front load your season. That's
done.
That's it. You can't get a season. You can't get a season in this year. It will be terrible for all of us if they close and we don't see work happening for a period of time.
If they do that, work, which is the council provide temporary ice. It's
So look, we asked the question. If you those of you who've been following it on social media, we asked a question in the full council meeting and had them a motion put through about a temporary rink. They've gone through that really and paid it lip service. There's a meeting on the 17th, which used to be the CEP, which is now the Residents Services Committee it's called. And there's a document, and the document's online. We'll publish a link to it if you want to look at it, about that motion going to that committee and being referred. There's a whole report on a temporary ice rink. It's rubbish. It's garbage.
That question was from my Slough.
Yeah, but they.
That
Yeah.
that certainly wasn't up. We could even have the facility they had in Slough, which was slightly bigger than Gospel, and we could set it up either or in the Bibles or whatever.
Yeah.
And know that it was pushed down then pretty quick.
Yeah. The thing, the Slough one, any temporary run of that, you've got to be shut for probably a year, 18 months for that to pay back.
Okay.
Yeah. You've got to be in that rink for probably about 18 months before it pays back. No one's going to pay for that. Planet Ice weren't going to pay for that. The council weren't going to pay for that, which is why they. And if it was close and they got the price where I think it could have been, then they've had to consider it. So they've deliberately loaded that up and made it exactly the same as they did with the 5 sites for temporary rinks. They put it out there, but then it's a red herring. It's not going to happen. We asked the question, and it will be discussed at that meeting, but it won't happen. It's too short of a time period for a temporary rink to work.
To be fair to Stuart, you put a lot of work in, kind of the organisation, the pricing, even down to containers for changing, like portable, not portable toilets, but the trailer type toilets that you could bolt onto the side of the ice rink. Yeah, it's disappointing that didn't play out.
It was obvious this place was going to shut soon. You just think, looks like they were done. It's going for the season.
We would have liked the same thing. And being a kid being here, it was this was the Sheffield back then. You know, if you've ever, this was the prime location when I was a kid, and to see it like this it's just horrendous.
Yeah, going from the school of excellence used to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
National championships.
Yeah. It's a tournament, so about from Europe.
International games here.
So also in that report, so I failed to mention, it's been done in 2 stages. So the first can be done is obviously the stands and then the second stages, which I'm assuming is this side coming back to where we are now, has got to be started within 3 months of the stage 1 being completed. But so far I can't see a completion date for that second stage. But that won't be the practical things. It will be the nice things that need to be done. And the thing is, Planet Ice had started shelling out money here. They didn't want to spend. They had issues with the hot water. They had issues with the quality of the water. They've had to spend some money, and even they are thinking, we are putting money into this. We don't need to spend.
It's amazing. Brilliant. Here's a question. Do we know what Planet Ice are planning on doing here? Do we know what kind of planning on?
They won't tell you till they open the doors. I don't think it's not the way they do business. I've asked the question. The council have no control. Sorry?
There's no planning.
No, it's internal stuff, isn't it? I mean, there will be. I'm sure there'll be building controls that need to be applied to it. But
Real Kings, they closed that twice.
Yeah.
They refurbed it.
Yeah.
So they refurbed that back to similar to what it was, and it was actually slightly smaller back. Went from Olympics.
Yeah.
So,
I think the one in there now is I think the one in there now is still Olympic.
is it?
The Olympic pad is 60/30, which is what we've got, and then you've got international size of 26/56. So you lose 4 meters all round. And I don't know. Is the answer. I asked the question, can they do that? Given that there was I don't think the reason this is all a problem is because they didn't draw a line in the sand when they took it on. There was no surveys done, so they can't go back and point us and say that's got to stay the same. And they feel they won't have the clout to do that. So Planet Ice will put in what they want to put in. And from their point of view, I imagine the least they'll put in is a 26/56 because you'll need that to play if they intend playing National League hockey.
Next question. How's this going to tie in the aquadrome when they redo the aquadrome?
So the aquadrome's going in a number of years. It's not tying with the aquadrome. The aquadrome's been moved to the site, the other side of the bingo. They're taking 20 odd million pounds of the cash reserves that they hold, and building an aquadrome. Long-term future is just going to be an aquadrome down there. I think if this had failed and it walked away, eventually they would have considered putting an ice rink in there. But I think they're just paying a slip service.
Again, it's something we approached the council about. We used examples of Romford, Guildford Recycle Energy,
Streatham
Recycle Energy, anywhere that's got and having a pad above a pool, you switch the energy and you alleviate any permafrost that we've had here because it's a raised floor. Pardon?
Yeah, here when they first joined it all up and built the rink, there wasn't a heat exchanger, and then I think back when Cross and Leisure running it, they put one in.
Yeah,
and it was paid for it out. They bumped the price up. That was the problem where we are, because when the council split the building, and the aquadrome got built that way, that was never reconnected properly. When you make ice, you produce heat, and normally what you do is that heat gets put underneath the layer of pipes, and it's called a heater mat, and that stops that permafrost from forming. When this was split, that wasn't reinstated properly because it was on the same system. Obviously, we're using hot from the plant here to do that and to go across to the swimming pool. And when they break it down, they didn't reinstate it. So I imagine sometime back in 2010 is when this started. And it's been unchecked now for all that period of time. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Anybody up here?
no, it's not the best way to deliver news or the best news we could deliver, and it's not what anyone wanted, but arguably the fact that we now know that work should be starting and there should be an end result, the quicker they get it done. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone to other clubs. I've had so many people ask me, "Oh, what's going on at Basingstoke?" It's the uncertainty, and the reason a lot of people are uncomfortable long term here as players is because we haven't got the certainty of the rink. I think once it's done, the coaching structure that we've got, I hope it continues. I'm sure everyone will be back. I think we've got a great coaching structure. And if we then have a facility that you can see lasting, or everyone can see lasting in the foreseeable future, it's exactly where we want to be, rather than every year just like, what's going to happen? And it gets worse and worse.
I think we've held back on recruit. We could have a much bigger program at the bottom of our club. We've held back on putting the extra work. We've worked hard to get it where it is, but we could have done more. We knew this was coming.
You say that it's a tough situation. You know, you push it too far,
yeah,
and you start getting more enemies,
yeah.
and it makes what we were trying to do for the players difficult, because you're then butting heads for Planet Ice way more. Like it was a 50-50 the whole time. How far do we push it? If we push it too far, more people are going to leave. They're going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be more uncertainty. If we don't push it enough, nothing happens. And it's a difficult thing to say whether we've done the right thing or the wrong thing. But ultimately, we're where we are now. I don't think we could have done any. I don't think anyone could have done any better. I think awareness was raised. We tried to kind of mitigate every year against a problem that could happen, and we are where we are today. So I haven't got any regrets about the way it's been delivered. Only that it's taken, in my view, too long to get to a point where someone feels like they have to refurbish, rather than why wasn't there a choice for it to be done at the right time, with the right time frames, with contractors in place, knowing that as soon as it's shut, you had trucks come in the next day. Do you get what I mean? They're the things that I wish we could have some effect on, but we can't.
At the end of the day, the rink's going to get done, which is what we all want.
Yeah.
And it was never going to be without pain. A little less pain would have been nice, but we'll get done.
The most important thing, the players, they're struggling to look forward in the eye. Like I say, when the rink does come back, I've got anything to do with it. People that stuff plays, it will go back to we make players play for our first team. They find out if they're good enough to play the sport at that level. If they don't, they still respect it and they get to find out the chance. And that's the way I like it to go. Like that over there, 2016.
Yeah.
When I was there from 10, we got to bring the kids through and they found out if they were good enough, which is the main thing in life. Yeah, I'm very sorry that some of you are going to have any kids hiatus. We'll do the best around you. But when it comes back, if you've done for the Basingstoke people, sure it will be.
One question that's just been asked online is, so how do we as an ice hockey community go forward in terms of where we apply the weight of our pressure? Do we pressure PI for what we want in the new building? What's the consensus?
Putting pressure on PI won't do any good. In my experience, they'll do what they're going to do. They won't. They don't feel they need to consult with their business. They'll do how they want to do it, and the house will have no input. You've asked them many times. They say we don't have any input. We can't affect anything in that building.
Do you know what? That question, I understand the frustration in that question, and it's the frustration that everyone else has got, and the fact that there's not an awful lot. It's wasted pressure. It's frustration, and
We did invite Planet Ice to come along to this meeting. I think John's on holiday, and he's unable to make it. Who's the executive of Planet Ice? So we did invite them.
it is just a case of get it started, get it sorted, get it reopened.
Anyway, anything else?
Has
Thank you.
Planet Ice said like whether or how much money they've got to redo the ring? Like at what point would they say enough is enough, or are they just going to get it done no matter what?
They'll get it done. I think they'll get it done no matter what. I think it's going to be a massive problem for them not to do it. They want to do it. Don't forget, they're spending money buying this back. The reason they're buying it back, they wouldn't fix it unless they own it. They don't own the building, they rent it. They did own it and they sold it and leased it back.
Right.
So they're spending whatever they're spending buying it back from Sound Securities. So they spent money. So they're not going to walk away from that, are they?
No, yeah, of course. So that's just like obviously wanted to clarify.
I think in this process of the lease being signed, they have to guarantee that the work would be done. And
Perfect.
I think the last time I spoke, it was like over 3 to 4 million, let's say, where it is now.
Yeah.
They have a mechanism put in place whereby Planet Ice to show that money before they'll be able to actually sign the lease.
Okay.
And that's in place now. So I think financially, I think it's too far for them to say no. It has to be an extremely big problem for them not to do it.
Yeah. So the kids that are playing for you now, like obviously my boys have only just come over to you guys, and like obviously they've loved it over at Basingstoke, and they don't want to play anywhere else. So like, I mean, the kids that are playing now, are they going to be able to come straight back in when you eventually do reopen?
Yeah. The doors will be back open again, and those that are here now can come straight back in again if they want to, if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, so both my boys are both adamant they want to stay with Basingstoke now. So,
yeah.
I mean, that was our biggest sort of worry. So, like, our plan for the year is to put them in camps and then hopefully come back to Basingstoke when the doors reopen.
So, you'd be very welcome to do that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Thanks for your time, folks. If anybody's got any questions, I mean, put it through to Tim.
We've always said what hurts a few years ago is when we didn't have an ladies team. And we want that very much back in the programme as well, don't we? Yeah, and that would be an ambition going forward as well. So, all quality, everyone gets a chance to play for the first team. And that's that. Hopefully one day that does happen. I'm sure it will.
No, I mean, what's it back in? We started a ladies setup back up here, and then we've got it going, and then COVID came and killed it.
Yeah,
but that's yeah. But so that's got to be in a program. We have to start doing stuff for the girls in it. Definitely.
I think if we can raise some money between now and next year, and I think the plan has always been to kind of, if anything like this happened, we didn't envision it happening this way, but if there was a stop and a start, that we could use that as a kind of catalyst to rebrand and have a kickstart and kind of have a new image to kicking off. And I think that's definitely something we'll look at doing for when we
and we'll engage with everybody on that. If we start that rebranding, and we'll involve everybody in that process.
Plus, with regard to the Oxford as an example, so there's certain people going to be in panic.
Yeah.
You know, so will people wait and that will go as one? And we've talked about people, contacting other clubs, and I get that that's slightly separate. But I can see people asking questions, particularly on WhatsApp groups, whatever else, that are going to end to after today. Do we just hold tight and wait for the club to present that all together, or do we?
We can do that, can't we? We will do that.
Sorry.
We'll put something up where if you have an interest, you can leave it with us, and then we will pass that on. It's rather than if you don't want to do it on an individual basis via the email, we can do that for you.
People might ask, particularly managers questions, things that we don't know anymore, so we just redirect people to.
We'll get something up that people can contact us.
Send them in my direction.
Yeah, we'll get something up.
My sister's son plays at my nephew plays at Oxford Club. But they're in trial for 18 next week.
I think
Wednesday.
Yeah, time's the game. People will feel like time's the game. So I think
as far as Oxford is concerned, I've had a conversation with the head coach at Oxford. He said the door is open to our players. The reason they're trialing with 18s and 16s is because they're extremely short at 18s and 16s. I know the guy well enough to make sure that it wasn't going to get leaked before this meeting. I was asked to do it with other clubs before this meeting, and on our group, I said, look, I don't feel comfortable enough speaking to other clubs before we have this conversation. Whereas to come into this conversation empty-handed and just go, we haven't done anything, felt wrong as well. So the fact that I could speak to Darren and make sure that they would be taken as a group, that felt enough for me to go, there is a place for everyone. And we'll have those conversations once everyone knows here with clubs directly. And you can also have those conversations individually if you want to as well. So it's not what I'm trying to say is it's not on us. You're more than welcome to have a trial and do whatever is right for players and your players.
Questions that's been asked online is when will this become public knowledge? Now, basically.
Pretty
much,
there will be a post going out this evening.
Yes, there will be a social media post going out this evening. We will also be informing England Ice Hockey that we won't be submitting teams this year.
Do it.
Almost immediately after this meeting.
Are you guys able to hear me quickly?
Yeah.
We've got, sorry, we just got a question. Go on. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to check. I couldn't quite hear. So you said that temporary ice isn't an option because of the time frames. Are we thinking about doing any off ice training as a club, even though the kids might be separating off into different rinks?
Yeah, I mean, you might have missed that earlier on. Someone did mention that, and yes, we will be looking at that. If
Rather
people
than
want
just
that,
the
we will-
jamborees, but actual more formalised off ice sessions.
we can look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I'm sure you can appreciate, this was a bit last minute to us as well. We've done as much as we can, to find out as much as we can to give you all the information and the fact. But obviously now that we've had these questions, we can take those away and start to put some thought and planning around them for you.
The kids, people, the coaches, in this situation. So, run away. People can do exactly as they like, but I just really acknowledge that people are really, been on this journey together, and it's not been.
I look at this lady. I love this place.
Yeah.
And you know what? As far as when coaches used to say to me, "How do you put up with it?" I don't put up with it. I love it. And all of those teams that used to come here and go, "Oh my God, I hate this, I hate that, I hate the size of the rink, it's too big, boards are this, stands are like this." Just like everyone else, I don't want to be like comfortable. This is yeah.
Which is great. Got good future here. We've had a great past. I don't think that's been easy.
How many times does anyone have to drag their kids here? Oh, and you know what? I remember more from like dressing rooms and young. It makes you sound weird. As a kid, I remember more from like we used to roller skate here, and skate on the ice, and then go out the back and play stick and puck in the car park. You spend all our nights here, and they're the things that I remember. Not necessarily how many games we won or what leagues we won, or you're never. It doesn't matter the state of this place. You're never going to take that on ice feeling away from anyone.
The ones that came over when they bring it in here and the rink, I put this in anywhere else now. Because just around the corner. So, and even as a parent, I really appreciate even with all the rubbish that's got in the background, all that stuff with the actual state of the rink. The opportunities he's been given and the coaches had, even with everything on in the background, I as a parent really appreciate that.
Really good, thank you.
Thank you. I remember when COVID happened and we couldn't come here for about a year. I came back and was like, oh my goodness, it's still falling down and it's still dark and dirty. It's home. And that's the feeling. It's what goes on in here. It's not the building. And that's the community that's been created.
Beating the team like about the ring.
Anybody else? Yeah. Okay, Bill. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.